Hi everyone. So in this session, we're going to walk through Sync Screen and the interface that you'll use and log into to manage your screen network. So this is where you would update all of your content, manage your schedules, and have an overview of your screens, whether you're based on site or remotely. This is a good video to watch if you're new to the system, or if perhaps there's a new starter in the business taking over the content management of the screens. Do send them this video on, as it will go through all of the basic steps to get your content live into the system and then playing through onto your screens. So you should have the Sync Screen application already. If you don't, you can download it at syncscreen.uk. Hit the tab here to download the application. Please note it only works with Android's devices, so you would need an Android media player in order to run Sync Screen. But yeah, you simply download it either on the chosen hardware itself or onto your laptop, add it to a USB, plug it into the back and install it on your Android device. So once you've got that and you've received your login details, which are normally delivered via email, you proceed to the interface, app.syncscreen.uk. Eventually, this will actually be linked back into here. So you only need one domain to remember, which is syncscreen.uk. So you'd log in to your account here and you'd add the player through this tab here. So once you've got those, and then you are on the login page for the interface, you will use your passwords and username that's been provided to you via email. You can change your password. It will prompt you on the first login to change your password, which I recommend doing. As you can see here, I've forgotten my one already. There we go. So once you're logged in, you will see your portfolio. So if we go in here and pretend this is your interface. So left-hand side is the key, and that has all of the different tabs that you will refer to use the system. So quite simply, quickly running through these, if you want to manage users, down into this tab here, you can add a new user or request to add a new user through this feature. So this works particularly well if there's more than one member of staff managing the account. You may have multiple branches, you may have an external agency, so this is a great way to introduce them, add them onto the system, and they can then manage your account alongside yourself or on behalf of. If you want to check out the plan you've got, simply jump into the accounts. You'll be able to see how many screens have been assigned to your portfolio, the amount of storage that's permitted, the amount of users, and when the plan started and when it will end. So all of your account essentials are based here. We then have the knowledge base, which will contain a range of resources. So obviously this video will be in there also, but alongside individual steps, troubleshooting, etc. So if you need to refer to any information, check the knowledge base first and foremost. If you can't find what you're looking for, there is a support option here where you can simply click the button and that will pop up with an email. You can send an email through to the Sync Screen team and they will be able to answer your questions, usually quite quickly. Within 24 hours, you'll get a response. Reporting, so if you are a digital out-of-house agency, for example, or perhaps you're displaying content on behalf of a third party who are paying for the rights to be on that screen, this is where you can essentially measure the amount of times their content has been played through the screen, through the playlist. So you can send them reporting monthly, quarterly, the impressions, the individual bits of media that I've played, on what screen they were, what playlist they featured on. So all of the juicy details that most people or advertisers would like to see. And so, yeah, you just generate your report and you can send that over to them. And then we get into the actual adding of content onto the system. So the way we tend to recommend using this is to think of this as a 3-step process. So the first option here is your content. So you need to add all of the content you wish to display on your screens into the system first and foremost. And then you would assign that to a playlist and then a schedule, and then to a screen. So we'll walk through the individual steps. So adding content, nice and straightforward. You can choose to add by folder. So if you're really proactive and you have all of your artwork in separate folders for different seasons or different events, you can upload them by folders. Or if you'd rather be able to add them ad hoc and sporadically, which is, to be honest, the approach I tend to choose, you can just upload individual files and go to the chosen files, select all of the ones you wish to display. Drag them over to the dialog box, drop them in, select upload. It normally takes a few moments to upload. If there's any issues with uploading, it's typically either the file size is too large, the orientation is incorrect, or it's the wrong file format. So JPEG, PNG, MP4 are preferred. You can see there is one that's failed. That's probably because the file size is too large. So we just need to compress that file or reduce the file size slightly and then re-upload it. Or if it's the case of we've got a full content library, maybe we need to do some housekeeping, clear the library up, or potentially request for more storage if all of that content needs to remain in place. But once that's finished uploading, as you can see, for videos it can take slightly longer, but only a few moments to add into the system. You can then go ahead, double check they're all in, upload, and within a moment they'll be added into the interface, and they are found here in your library. So now we've got our content added, we need to have a playlist. We select create playlist. This one's going to be our weekday playlist, and we'll default the individual slides. That refers to images, MP4s, so videos, animation. They play for the duration of whatever that file is. You can alter this timing as well per slide, but if you wanted to start off with a set amount of time per individual asset, you can select that here. So we create our playlist. So to add content, all of the content from your library is now pulled over to the right-hand side within the playlist bar. So this is all the stuff we've uploaded into the system, but not necessarily showing on the screen. And any of the content on the left-hand side of the playlist, if that's assigned to the screen, that's what would be playing. So if we say, for instance, we want to add these particular assets onto this playlist, as you can see, they're now scheduled to go on. And as I mentioned, you can dictate the timing for individual slides like so. You can also schedule content. So if you've got a particular piece of artwork that is only to play for, let's say, the remainder of April, you can say the start date is the 15th, and then it needs to come off on the 30th. So that piece of content will display from the time period chosen, and as soon as it comes to the 30th, that will automatically remove itself from the system. So this will ensure you can pre-schedule content ahead of time, and also guarantees that no content that shouldn't be on there, i.e. if it's dated, isn't there past the date that you've selected for it to disappear. So once you've created that playlist, if we just build a second one, and we'll do a weekend playlist. Select our assets again, as such. So we now have two playlists, and what we want to do is show these throughout the weekend and then on the weekday. And we don't want to be jumping in every Friday to swap them over and every Sunday evening to swap them back again. So what we do is we make a schedule. So this could be our main schedule. Within here, you can see there's different time slots available. So if we say we want it to operate from 9 to 5, how do I pick the right playlist? If we just cancel that one off, add that one in. And then we want to add our weekend playlist for the same duration of time. Weekend, obviously this playlist will need to be the weekend playlist. And then we can add that content in there. You can have more than one playlist showing at different times throughout the day. So as an example, just say on the Sunday evening, you had another playlist you wanted to take over from that 5 o'clock time frame. You just simply select the timings. And add your time slot in. So you can have multiple playlists playing throughout different periods of the day. This works particularly well if, for example, you're in the hotel industry and you've got a morning playlist, afternoon playlist, evening playlist, weekday specials, that type of thing. But yeah, so that's how you would create a schedule with the playlist that you've created. And then when it comes to screens, just to show you how you create your screen, we'll run through that. So I recommend naming this with the location of which yours is placed. So let's just say this is a window display. So you have the option of, if it's just a single playlist, standalone, don't need to change the content, you can just select there and stop from that point. If you are running multiple playlists, then you need to make sure you hang the schedule on instead of the playlist option. So you either choose the playlist if it's just one playlist, not multiple, playing throughout, or if you're having a schedule with multiple playlists, you select that option there. And you go ahead, create your screen. Immediately here you'll see whether your screen is online or not. Of course, as we've just created it, it's showing it's not connected. The way you'd connect that to this playlist, the screen that you've built, to your actual hardware is once you've downloaded the sync screen application and installed it on the device, the opening page will invite you to add a pairing code, which can be found here. So you either copy this here, make a note of this code, type it on the screen. That then registers that screen is associated with this on the interface, and that will then pop up with online, providing you're connected to the Wi-Fi, and start downloading your content. And then here's your dashboard and your overview. So if you have multiple screens, this is, like I say, good if you're working remotely. You can jump on quickly, have a look, see what's online, quickly establish if there's anything offline, and troubleshoot as to why that is, and get it back online and running again. That's everything.